Hello, welcome back again to your weekly astrological transits. I'm Denise, and this week we're going from December 17th through the 23rd, and towards the end of the week we have the sun moving into Capricorn. So let me say happy birthday to all of our Capricorn friends ahead of time. And then also Mercury, that's been retrograde in Capricorn, now makes it back to that last degree, 29 degrees of Sag. So we're going to have a little sojourn back into the Sag experience and the way we think and speak. So what else? I think that's it, other than wishing you so much love and the happiest of holidays. Merry Christmas, however you celebrate. Happy Hanukkah. And other than that, let me just swap out cameras and bring you over my table. Hold on. Okay, so I am recording this on Thursday, December 14th, and I found it interesting that it was yesterday when Mercury had gone retrograde early in the morning, Eastern time, that the House GQP voted unanimously to start an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden, without naming any, like not even one, crime that they're investigating. So there you go. We're just going to have to keep an eye on this. It's probably because it's, started right at the onset, or pretty close to the onset of the Mercury retrograde. I'm thinking it'll probably go nowhere. Especially in Capricorn, moving back to Sag, which is, ruled by politics. So, Capricorn, Saturn, government, Sag, Jupiter, politics. So, but anyway, okay, let's go ahead and now fast forward into Sunday. Even though I know many of you will watch this way before, but Sunday, we still have Pluto squaring Eris, which will be in effect for quite some time. Well, not really, actually, until Christmas Day. My goodness, time has gone by so quickly. So with that square, it's everything to do with the feminine courage to, and especially with Ceres up here with Mars too, the feminine courage to fight for what is right. The feminine courage to not take it anymore, basically. So, she's Eris is, so that's the glyph right here. And especially in Aries, oh my goodness, it's like Mars. It's like, let's put Eris, the big sister of Mars, and the big sister of Pluto, the older sister, and let's put it in the sign of Aries. It's, with it being the feminine struggle for equality, it's also, it takes on that quality of resentment and revenge. So we have to be careful with what we're putting out there in a way that doesn't create more problems, but fights for justice nevertheless, without one iota of shrinking and making ourselves smaller just because we're afraid. So, if those feelings come up. But anyway, with that square, that's the challenge to the powers that are writing laws and trying to hold people down. It's insane. It goes completely against spiritual law. It goes completely against what should be man-made law. It goes completely against any form of morality, except for that they're taking their ridiculous cues from some, I don't know, wannabe, I suppose, religious text that really isn't there. It's not there. They're making it up in order to control the masses. Maybe they're just afraid that we won't have male babies anymore. I don't know. I don't know what's really going on in there besides a whole lot of inferiority complex and self-hatred that they're projecting out onto everyone else. I mean, misogyny and fascism and all of that. It's xenophobia. It's all a form of self-hatred, projected outward. So, okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. Neptune, so moving on to the next slower moving planet, Neptune is squaring the sun. It was squaring last week when we ended the reading, and it's still going on. The sun will move, quickly, so it'll just be a few more days. But you might feel those effects. Actually, you might feel them all week because the sun with there's an interesting combination between Pisces and Sag, where Pisces can lead you into a direction of helping you understand what you really believe in and trying to figure out if your beliefs, or if your belief system is, if your beliefs are aligned with reality or not. Or, and we have Saturn for reality check, but Saturn's in Pisces too. So with the Neptune Pisces, vibe, it can be confusing. So the Sun to Venus, or I'm sorry, Sun to Neptune here, I feel like it can be confusing. And it can also just be that we know the truth. We're, clear, right? Because the best way of using Sag energy is to orient yourself on your path and search for the truth. It's always about going towards the truth. That's what Jupiter's all about as well. And if it's aligned with absolute truth, then it's aligned with the laws of love, and it doesn't exclude other people, and it's not hateful, and it's not, all those other distorted things. So with the Sun in Sag, if someone is if they're just hell-bent and going in a certain direction because they think it's the right way, and they're in some form of self-righteousness, and they're very opinionated, and they just want to go for it to get something just so that they can be, I don't know, maybe in their... I'm going to say just in their pride, and leave it at that. Just in their pride, that wanting to be all that, and there's no need for any human to be moving forward in life that way. But many do, and many get lots of attention, and there you are with a narcissism. So there can be confusion. And I'm hoping, what I really want to see with this aspect happen, I'm really, really hoping, I'm trusting, I'm having faith in the fact that every human has their own moral compass within, and they don't need anyone to tell them what is right and what is wrong. And so for those who do need to look outside themselves to understand what's right and what's wrong, all I can do is pray for them to come into their own, because on the hard side of this square, there's cultish behavior, and on the softer side, and this is where I have faith in the human spirit coming through the soul, is that you can feel where you're hooked into something that's not right. Like I remember, oh my goodness, I can't even remember how old I was, but I remember going to the movies when I was a kid, and it was to see the Beatles. And I remember sitting there, and all these kids were screaming, just going nuts at what was going on, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in a mob, And I don't think I was really even old enough to know those types of words, but I was feeling like this is scary. Like this is because it's not real. It's not grounded. It's, geared towards fame. And you could see this type of behavior with this combination here, because Mars is moving head towards the sun. That connection there is still strong enough, and that's a little scary to me. Ceres close enough to Mars is a little scary to me, with the women having to protect themselves. And yeah, just, you have to be careful about, because Ceres is connected to grief and separation. And with the trines down here to Chiron in the North Node, that's a little scary to me. I mean, trines are supposed to be good, harmonious aspects, but sometimes it's just a flow of energy and a connection. And that's a lot of fire energy. So if it's not grounded in love, if it doesn't slow down, if that energy doesn't slow down, it can get, out of control. Now, Neptune in Pisces, in the best light of using that energy, it can be so compassionate and so intuitive, and so can Sag. All of this can be very intuitive and imaginative, and but then sometimes too, with the Sag energy, it can just be very, my way or the highway, and a little too, I don't know, enthusiastic, a little too ambitious, a little too religious, most of all. So, and we see this on the news. This is astrology, playing out. So anyway, on the highest end, this tension field, or the tension field would be the lowest end, but on the highest end, it could turn into a strength where you're oriented on your path, knowing the right way to go. And it has to do with being kind and understanding that humans are infallible. Pisces has everything to do with forgiveness. It has everything to do with healing. But most of all, it doesn't exclude others, it includes everyone. So that's that place where, no matter how we, what things we're personally witnessing and how we feel or think about it, if we can just feel a little, even just a little bit of love, or if you can't feel any love in your prayers, you can ask your guides to send that out for you. It's not as powerful, but it's good, and it's more than good enough. Yeah. And then the rest of the time, and this might be the hard, if you guys are anything like me, I'll have a negative thought about someone or something, and then as soon as it goes out, it's like, oh, no, rewind, So if you can reel yourself back in and don't send that energy out there, then there you go. And that is exactly what Saturn is all about. Saturn is the planet of the time-space, it holds the time-space continuum in place on Earth. And it slows things down so that our thoughts don't automatically create reality like they do in the spirit world. In the spirit world, you think and feel something, and then bam, you're there. So there's no downtime. It's just right there. So, here we are on Earth School, and we are learning how to manage our own energy and what we put out there. We're learning how to master our consciousness. We're learning how to become aware of our unconscious and subconscious that has a different agenda because it's connected to the pain and trauma of past lifetimes. So, becoming present and healing, presently, changes the future immensely, especially if forgiveness is gone through. Doesn't mean you have to forget. But forgiveness is definitely important. The intention to forgive, and then, you don't need to forget, but to hold on to resentment and revenge, which is the danger with, Eris in Aries especially, can be really challenging, and especially because Mars is moving in. Mars is pretty much just a little past exact from Chiron, and then it's moving into, again, I always say this, the approaching energy is stronger. It's moving into an exact trine to the North Node, and eventually, of course, it'll be an exact trine to Eris. But today we have the Sun trining Eris. So like I was saying, all that fiery energy, there's a lot of it. And expect people to be a little short-tempered. Expect people to be more sensitive as well, because with Neptune in Pisces. And I don't know about you guys, but I've had this last week, I've had so many experiences of feeling like, you know, I just need to watch something that's happy on TV. There's a lot of things that have been released that, I mean, you know, the mysteries are always fun, but then there's war, lots of war footage that's been released, and there's been it's just so hard. So if you're immersed in things like that for too much, you start realizing that, you know, it's just not, there's no pleasure in that. You know, if you have to learn about it for school or something and understand everything about all these wars, then yeah, that's one thing. But you need to, and I learned this when I was, you know, in healing school, learning about narcissism and psychopathy. You have to take breaks because you're in dark territory. And it's really important to take breaks. So, you know, watch something funny or watch something fun, even if it's a little below your intelligence level, because some of them are. You know, it's like, who would act like that or who would think like that? But if it's funny, and as long as it's not, you know, hurting other people, you know, in the movie or show, whatever it is, then why not, right? And we can all find all types of comedy on, you know, on YouTube. So that's always nice, especially funny things that babies did or said, right? Okay, so I'll move on from Neptune and go to Uranus. So the aspect today with Uranus, it's the sesquisquare up to Mercury. This is scary to me because it's stubborn energy that's just thinking, coldly, rationally. And it's retrograde, so it's going back over territory we've already been through. This, to me, goes with, you know, the GOP, and they're, you know, just wanting to turn things around, and basically they're projecting all their discrepancies and lack of integrity onto Biden. And, you know, I'm not even going to say the things that they call him and call his administration and family and all of that. But they forget that his son is not running for president and never has. And there you go. So anyway, Uranus can be shocking. Uranus can make us aware of something, though. And I think this does definitely go along with the impeachment inquiry. But we can expect them to just stubbornly hold on to their position, and they're going to learn the hard way. I mean, I got that guidance very distinctly, and it came through repetitively, or repeatedly, however you want to say that. My goodness, I think it was in about 2019 or so, before I even started my channel. So, and it was just clearly that for sure the GOP, as we know it, is going down. I didn't know the details of how it would be, but it was literally like they were, committing hara-kiri, or they were, kamikaze, going through something. It's just they were going to take themselves down. So hopefully there'll be some rebirth and then out the other end, or maybe they'll, at some point 50 years from now, just kind of be gone and be very small, and we'll be dealing with Democrats and independents instead. So, okay. That's all I have to say about Uranus there, except for, and I'll talk more about this aspect here as it becomes exact, but just know that all week we have this opposition between Venus and Uranus. So there's going to be upsets in relationships, and it's going to have to do with Money, it's going to have to do with sex. I would expect sex scandals to come out this week. I would, or to deepen the ones that are already out. So sex and money scandals are rampant with this type of a aspect here. And it can be shocking, but whoever's on the other end will definitely make decisions that protect themselves, especially with Venus and Scorpio, and especially midway, because there's some integration of a life lesson going on here. When a person has this in their natal chart, or going through this and something comes up, like let's say you have natal Venus in Scorpio, and now Uranus is has been opposing it. There's some major confrontations in relationship and finances, mixed finances, things like that, resources with joint spouse accounts, things like that, that are confrontations that have to be worked through, and then there can be a breakthrough because at least now the truth is out there. The wake-up call has happened. And in politics, we can expect to see reversals of fortune. I'm especially waiting to know Rudy Giuliani's outcome as to how much he's going to have to pay Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman. I'm thinking he'll have to pay quite a bit. I think the lawsuit was $43 million, but I can't remember exactly. The only thing I do know for sure is that Rudy Giuliani has his, hold on, wait a minute. Okay, here we go. This works here. Okay, so here's Rudy Giuliani. Here's his birth time, right there. And he was in court this morning, but I wasn't able to. I needed to start this video, so I haven't hung out to wait. But notice how his south node is at 28 degrees, 57 minutes Capricorn. And today, Pluto is transiting at 28 degrees, 50 minutes Capricorn, and he's had this transit. So all the Pluto retrograde we went through, how Pluto's been going, it's been on his south node. he's had it. He's had so many opportunities to transform his soul, and he hasn't taken it. He has not taken the high road. He hasn't turned around and changed course. And then up here you can see Uranus has been in his 8th house for the last 6 years or so, and here we go with like the reversal of fortune possible for him. And notice how Venus is in his 2nd house, transiting Venus there, and yeah. So there's that hallmark of Venus opposing Uranus within a human being's chart, right? Oops, I'm sorry, you guys can't see that. Oh, here, hold on. There we go. Sorry. Venus in his 2nd house of money. Uranus transiting his 8th house of other people's money and resources that he's going to have to pay out. Jupiter's there holding space for truth to come through and for healing to happen. It will be on some level healing for his soul to have to go through his comeuppance. So he learns, right? This is what corrupt people need to learn, is that they don't get to, they're not allowed to get away with violating other people. So there we go. There's that. And then there are so many other transits. I mean, Neptune in his 6th makes sense to me as to why he's such a raging alcoholic. Saturn in the 5th is a big lesson there. Transiting through the 5th is his big lesson for the last couple of years. As to, my way or the highway. The 5th house can have to do with things coming out in public that you wish other people didn't know. And then here natally has Chiron in the 12th. So and we've got that opposition that's coming in full force there. Yeah. So. And then, of course, here we are with the Sun in Sag transiting through his 3rd house, where he's going to have to learn something. And Mars is right there on his part of fortune. And here, another aspect that's like a reversal of fortune. And then the transiting part of fortune, of course, in his 6th house, which disrupts his entire daily existence. I do believe, yeah, oh, my goodness. And then here's another one right here. Mercury and the moon and Pluto in his 4th house of real estate. I do believe he has put real estate up for sale because he's saying he doesn't have the money to, to pay this amount. But he has assets, and there will be liens, I imagine. So, okay, so let's see what else for Sunday. Let's go to Saturn. So Saturn in Pisces is trining the South Node still, and this is a good aspect because there are those lessons that are being, developed with Saturn in that early decan of Pisces. Oh wait, I'm sorry. It's not Saturn. It's the Moon. Okay, sorry. Take that. Rewind. Don't take that in. It's not Saturn at all. There are no aspects to Saturn right now. Okay, so then from there, let's go to Jupiter. So. And I'm going backwards as far as the planets, how fast they move. So Jupiter is trining Mercury. So again, the talks of justice, the talks that can be healing, the information that can come out that's concrete, factual information, except for the fact that with the Sun squaring Neptune, there will still be those that lie and want to keep their cults under control. Got to keep those cult followers where you want them, right? And so you can grift off of them, basically. Goodness. So then, basically, with Jupiter here, there can be an expansion of that ploy to take people's money, especially with Jupiter in Taurus. It'll be all about the grift. But for us personally, we can use this time of Mercury retrograde because Mercury's going back, and it'll be more of a tighter trine with Jupiter there. And so we're going back into the territory that we've already been through the last few weeks, and that will bring through understanding something on a deeper level. But again, we're in that territory of developing something new. There's some new projects forming, and maybe we're making plans for next year. I think I talked about this last week, but just think in terms of like what works and what doesn't. With Mercury and Capricorn, we're dealing with the way we think and the way we connect the dots, the way we negotiate things, either with ourselves inside or with other people. And I think that both go together really well because everything happens on the inside first. But it helps us to connect the patterns. It helps us to analyze things, and it's very rational, especially in the sign of Capricorn, because Capricorn is like, just the facts, ma'am. But Capricorn is very willing and very, constructive. It can be constructive. It's really good for planning. It's really good for bringing in opportunities, for creating opportunities, and then also for maybe structuring ourselves a little bit in a way, or more in a way that's where we have more discipline. Maybe we have more self-discipline this season. So, okay, so from there, let's go ahead and go to, let's see, that was Jupiter. Yeah, let's go to Venus over here. I talked about that already, that opposition there. I think for most of us, with Venus, I talked about it politically, but personally, with Venus at that midway point, there's some integration coming through as to what keeps you, and now I'm going to speak to Scorpio, what keeps you out of crisis. there's some understanding that, oh yeah, I tried that and look what happened, or yeah, I tried that relationship and they just wouldn't stop lying, or I feel really used and abused or whatever, you know. So now, if things are going smoothly and have been for quite some time, this could work out to be a big breakthrough financially. It could work out to be big opportunities for refining something that can bring a whole lot more harmony into your life, because you don't need the conflict anymore. And it can also be, these aspects can be an inheritance. Right? Somebody out there could have an inheritance. Even if it's something small, you know, it still means that somebody was thinking of you, right? A loved one wanted to make sure you had something before they, you know, or as they left, as they graduated. But let's see, what other traits with Scorpio? This could be major self-transformation, especially when it comes to all the things that you value, what you do value, what you place value on in your life. And because Venus rules Taurus, and with Jupiter in Taurus here, and Uranus is also in Taurus, we're in that territory, you know, like I always say, self-preservation and security, being faithful to, you know, the principles that you know will keep you safe. And it's also about, you know, owning things too. So it's possible that you're having, maybe you're selling something that is no longer of value to you, but it's of great value to something else. There can be that, because of course Venus rules money. We've got money here, Scorpio's money, money. Okay, so then with Mercury, I spoke to the Mercury-Jupiter, so I think we're good there. So now let's go to the Sun. The Sun has two sextiles, so we're coming off of the wisdom of the past, and especially all things to do with social activities and your social standing and relationships and equality. And so there's opportunity there to move forward, because you're wiser than you ever were, and especially because the Sun is in that last decan, or in basically that last 5 degrees or 4 degrees of Sag. So there's some mastery coming through. There's some, you know, formal, like you've got something solid. And I'm thinking it's intuitive. I'm thinking it's very intuitive. So great strides with your intuition there. And with, you know, using any divination systems you use, this could be really good energy for that. And then with the Sun sextiling the Aquarian moon today, again, there's those opportunities to think outside the box. There's a spotlight of energy that says, go this way. It might not have thought about that in the past. And all of a sudden today you're like, oh, hey, because look at this exact, you know, right here. So early in the morning, you know, you could wake up early this morning and feel a little more free than usual. Aquarius is all about inventing something new. There's more freedom. It's more friendly. It's, you know, it's a very good sign for making headways that are new. And yeah. And now on the dark side, there could be something on the news where you can see and understand or hear, you know, with the moon, because the moon rules the public. The Sun's going to shine the spotlight. Sag rules politicians. And we might have an opportunity to see on full display someone who is speaking from a place where they're really cut off from their heart, just really detached and disassociated from all that really matters. So, and then what else with the Sun? I already did talk about the square to Neptune, so we're covered there. Now let's focus in on the moon, and then I'll move on to Monday, and things will go much quicker. So with the moon trining the South Node, but it's coming off of the exact trine, but it's still there. And so I'm feeling like, because it's conjunct, the moon is moving towards Saturn in Pisces, and it's only only about 3 degrees actually before it moves into Pisces. There could be maybe some dreamtime guidance came through with this configuration, and especially relationship. So pay attention to your dreams on Saturday night, or the last thing you get when you first wake up, and, jot down some notes, take some notes, and see if there's been some guidance that's come through to help you heal. Because Pisces is all about forgiveness. It's all about completing and then creating a new beginning and opening up to brand new possibilities. So, yeah, and then back to this Venus opposing Uranus. This will be in effect until Christmas Day. So again, back to the relationships there. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Monday. So Monday, we have, like I said, the moon is in Pisces. It's already crossed over Saturn. Another good day for understanding, another good morning for understanding dreamtime activity. And with the moon trining Venus, it's moving, so all morning and into probably early midday, we have this nice flow of energy between very psychic Scorpio, Venus and Scorpio, and very psychic and sensitive and empathic Piscean energy. But now when it comes to politicians, this is really good energy for the grift. This is really good energy here for getting people to donate based in fear, like, you don't want those migrants here, you've got to, whatever, you know what I mean? That kind of crap. And then with Venus having this inconjunct here over to Chiron, there's especially that energy of, we have to control versus who are these people that think, they deserve that kind of distortion. So I would think it's a good day for us to put out lots of peaceful, positive prayers that include all of humanity. You can see the sun has moved 1 degree further, which it goes about 1 degree a day. And what else? We have Mars here in this inconjunct to Uranus. Mars to Uranus is not, I don't like Mars to Uranus at all. Mars is wartime energy. Sag is religious wartime energy. This is, what's going on in Israel and other Mideast countries, always a problem there. So with this 17 to 19 degrees, at least Mars is not retrograde, and it'll move pretty quickly, but still, I don't like this for this next few days, honestly. There will be adjustments that need to be made because now we're aware of something, and this probably goes back to what I got in card readings quite a while ago about Netanyahu and his darkness, his dictator-like tendencies, or his dictator tendencies, basically. Call it for what it is, right? So, I wish these people realized it doesn't. That's the thing that gets me is like, if they really if these dictators all over the world, if they really understood the laws of abundance, and they understood the fact that we all incarnate over and over and over and over again until we are in complete alignment with the laws of love, and then we don't need to incarnate anymore. But if they understood the way things work, they would want to get along with all these other countries. There wouldn't be the need to have a dictator type of attitude. I mean, it's just, and they would actually be more abundant. They would make more money. They wouldn't be having problems, and they wouldn't need to spend so much money on war. So anyway, that's my spiel. What else? The moon trining Venus is helpful. Like I was saying, it's helpful for us. It's even helpful for, like I was saying, using the grift, right? Which is scary. The moon with this little semi-square here to Eris is going to feel like this morning the need to do something to move forward. Like something, I get the feeling a lot of you are going to wake up feeling like something completed in dream time, or something happened. Your guides, your guardian angels, maybe you went to sleep praying for, thanking your guides and guardian angels for healing you during your sleep, and you woke up feeling much better. And now you've got that energy to get going and, move. There's movement energy here. There's the need to move because there's a greater understanding on some level about something, and it could have to do with relationships as well. So, okay, let's see. Is there anything else for today? With Mercury to Jupiter aspect, notice how it's pretty much exact, 5 a.m. There's expansion in the way we're thinking. There's expansion in the way, and this has been building up, all last week even. There's expansion in the way we can think of preserving ourselves and talk about things that can bring through healing and abundance for other people. If you're geared that way, I'm sure you are. And it could be that maybe, because with Mercury and Capricorn, we're in that place where we're negotiating, and so I'm thinking like politically, maybe there is some negotiation for the holiday, with the war in Israel, and because it's been so awful, and with Jupiter and Taurus, again back to that need for safety, and Jupiter is still retrograde, and will continue to be till the end of the month. It doesn't go direct until New Year's Eve. And it'll still be at 5 degrees, of course. So, yeah, I think that's it. Let's see, let me make sure I didn't miss anything else. No, we got it. Okay. Tuesday. Oh, and just to reiterate again with the Jupiter-Mercury trine, for us, it's really good for negotiating. For, if you're, I don't know, if you're shopping for some loans for some reason or another, or you're negotiating business partnership, or any kind of partnership. So, okay, what else? Tuesday, you can see, of course, the sun moved a degree, like it will every day. The moon has now caught up exactly with, and this is pretty cool to, again, wake up in the morning with the moon Jupiter. Best thing I can say about the beginning of the week is that it's like really track your dreams. Do your best to get that dream guidance. And coming off of the new moon from last week, probably we're all sleeping better, because usually new moons and full moons can trigger. It just brings in so much more energy that oftentimes we don't sleep as well. At least I know I don't. You guys let me know how that is for you. But anyway, with the moon, having caught up to Neptune here, and with that trine to Venus, there's a lot of extra spiritual activity, a lot of extra intuitive information. There's extra forgiveness and healing energy. And our imaginations can be heightened if you're a writer or you write screenplays or anything like that. You're all in that. That's the Pisces realm. Screenplays and scripts, manuscripts, things like that that'll be made into movies. That's Neptune and Pisces territory. And with the moon there, every month that the moon comes up to Pisces, well, actually Saturn and Neptune, every time the moon transits through the sign of Pisces and connects with these two planets, you can get some extra help from the spirit world. So expect to be more sensitive this morning. It doesn't look to me like a morning that you would jump out of bed and let's just go. It's more like, oh, what was that dream about? And maybe there's information, like I was saying, if you are writing a book or any creative project at all, or if you're a musician, or maybe you wake up hearing a certain phrase in a song, and you realize, oh, that's direct guidance. Through lyrics. Happens all the time. You want to write it down, right? You want to get that information. So, and it could relate to relationship healing as well, of course. And notice how Venus moving, forward is going to, and now we're already in that territory, even though I don't have a line there yet, but we're moving close to having Venus trine Neptune. So I'll talk about that for just a minute. Venus to me is personal love, and Neptune to me is spiritual love. So with that trine, and especially in water signs, we can have some deeply transformative experiences that can really support healing, and it can support intuition working and functioning in ways that help you. Help you bring through any opportunity that you're working on, whether it's healing or creating something new. And with that Pisces energy, it's like coming full circle. So I like that. Okay, anything else with the moon? It is squaring the sun. Still, of course, Neptune has been squaring the sun. It's still, like I was saying before, but now that the moon's involved, there's some intuitive hits that will help you make decisions, and this will be a strengthening aspect, I believe, for many of you. If you are confused, if you are still having trouble making decisions on your path, and you've been battling that all week, or from last week, just know that it's going to clear soon, but also that this is the aspect that can help you trust your intuition, trust your feelings, trust your heart. If your feelings are not trusted, see, that's the thing. Hands down, for all human beings, anytime we negate our feelings because we're afraid of them or whatever it is, or you think your feelings aren't trustworthy because in the past it's got you into some bad relationships, and I never want to trust my heart again. Just know that those relationships and those painful processes that you went through needed to be processed through. You needed to have them, and you needed to experience them because you ran away from them in your past lifetime. Because if we stop our feelings, we stop our growth. If we numb out from our pain, we stop our growth and we stay stuck. And you can see this, like with kids that start either smoking pot at a really young age or start drinking at a really young age, and then they have problems and problems and problems until they're maybe hit their first Saturn return and decide to sober up. And then they realize, oh my God, I'm like emotionally at 8 years old or 9 years old or 10 or 11 or 12. And you can track it back to when they started getting high, right there. So that's just one example. But for most of us adults, just know that anytime you don't want to feel something and it's too scary, or you're afraid that you're going to hurt yourself or someone else, that's completely different. But if you're numbing out anxiety, or if you're numbing out, emotional pain, you're cutting off your intuition. And you're also cutting off the growth of your soul. And the growth of your soul is always programmed to go back to the purity of your spirit. So if you're cutting off that whole process, you're wasting time. You're literally wasting time on Earth. And it doesn't need to be that way at all. But if you are having, if we're talking like clinical depression, something like that, or you can't trust your actions yet, well then, yeah, medication will be the right way to go for a period of time. But then you'll have transits that'll help you free yourself from that as well, too. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm no doctor. I'm not even a psychologist. I've had a lot of training in psychology, but I'm just going to leave that there. And the only thing I want to say is just honor your feelings. And again, as long as you're not hurting yourself or wanting to hurt yourself or someone else, those feelings need to be honored. And they move. When you feel them, they move. When you go into emotional reactions and ask yourself, what is it that I'm really wanting? What's the real pain? What am I working through? Then your tears and your pure intention to want to heal can actually dissolve the false belief that's tied the whole vicious circle together for who knows how many lifetimes. And then you're suddenly free. And that may be exactly what the Venus opposite Neptune aspect is all about. And then also, Venus opposite Uranus, but also Neptune is our planet for dissolving. So maybe there's some emotional reactions that have been dissolved, but through the nighttime, and maybe you wake up and you realize, oh wow, you're just not the same person. But all throughout the morning, it'll be a dreamy morning. And again, if you just honor your feelings and know that they're meant to help you. And if you're feeling a lot of anxiety, go into the anxiety and ask, what are you really afraid of? Just point blank, get in there instead of avoiding it. Avoidance is a real problem. It really is. God, I just saw a show. No, it was on Amazon Prime. I wanted to say Netflix, but it's Amazon Prime. It's called Avoidance. The first few episodes are hard to watch because the guy is just so, but he's funny, and he's a comedian. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give anything away, but I don't know. I liked it. I can't wait for another season. I hope there's another season. I don't know if there will be, but I liked it. I especially liked the little boy and the show. So, but anyway, avoidance will just waste your time, and we all need to get in touch with our fears, but create stability and safety enough in our lives that we don't need to live in fear. And then, if you can get your emotional reactive work process through, your feelings will come through and help you to stay present. Most of the time, it's not perfect, but most of the time it will guide you so that you are going in the right direction to actually, now this would be literal in a good way of avoiding catastrophe or problems or even accidents. Because if you get your soul in harmony with your spirit, it will take you'll always go in the right direction. It won't take, if it seems like it takes you on a detour in the wrong direction, it's actually protection. That's the thing that I've experienced. So you can trust that. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to Wednesday. And let's see, with the moon here, of course, it's moved into Aries. It's cooking its way towards Chiron. So there's an opportunity all morning to get in touch with your courage, to follow your instincts. Speaking to Aries energy now, to assert yourself in a positive way, to move forward. And because it's bumping up against Chiron, you could run into some old painful, because I look at Chiron as being like our deepest inner conflict. So wherever this is transiting in your chart, you might get a lot of good work done on that whatever house that's in. Now, when you go through your deepest inner conflicts, like if you're between 50, 52 years old, you would have natally Chiron in Aries, and you would be having your Chiron return. And so this would be really, really, really important time for you. So if you work on your deepest inner conflicts and you work on your deepest pain, which I think is probably in the area of abandonment issues and feeling left out, something like that, feeling like you don't matter, feeling like, or anything. I mean, even if you just have, anything in the sign of Aries, those feelings are going to come up as part of your healing process. So if you work on the pain, if you process the pain and allow yourself to feel it and come through the other side, and don't take things personally that happened to you in the past, know that it was just other people's shortcomings and malfunctions, I guess, projected onto you, then it goes much more smoothly. And then you go into, Chiron turns into your deepest gifts that help you to heal. And that's a beautiful experience. And you carry that with you the rest of your life. And so you would be the person that would always show other people how much they matter to you, most often. But then again, there may be boundary issues that you're bumping up against with some people too, and it's, there's sometimes those things. And that's especially true too with Saturn in Pisces. And notice how today we have Saturn sextiling. It's coming into the sextile to Jupiter, 2 degrees, coming in really tight there. So we're having opportunities. Sextiles are always opportunities, and it's up here at the apex of this sextile over to the Sun and Mercury as well. And so again, the spotlight's on your directional path, and when it comes to politics, the spotlight's on, are they telling the truth or not? Truth or lies, basically. And if they're lying, why? Why are they trying to manipulate? Or maybe we don't care why, we're just not going to listen to it. And there's an opportunity there to have a very solid spiritual foundation like you've never had before. And then we have the sextile over to Jupiter that can bring in more abundance and more bliss and more happiness and safety and security. So that's fantastic. And then, like I was saying, Jupiter, trining this stellium of Sag and Capricorn energy up here is also, and then over to the Aries. There's all this energy here translates into going in the right direction on your path and understanding who is telling the truth and who isn't, and going in, the opposite direction of the lies. And going in the opposite direction of people who are, maybe invasive and headstrong and, not trustworthy, basically. If they're not coming from a peaceful place within and they're itching for a fight, you definitely want to go in the other direction, right? Okay, so let's see. Yeah. 8 to 10. Yeah, okay, so the moon is cooking its way towards an exact trine to Ceres. So, that just actually reiterates or confirms what I just said about safety, security, nurturing your path. How can you best take care of yourself and those you love is my question with Ceres. And in Sag, it's all about the direction, which direction do you want to go? And what inspires you? Sagittarius is all about inspiration, as is Jupiter. So, okay, so let's go ahead and go to Thursday. So Thursday we have, oh wait, that's PM. Wait a minute. Yeah, let's do this one first. Venus to Uranus. I've spoken about that. So it's just to name that this is when it's exact, just about 5 a.m., actually earlier. And then, so from Thursday on, it'll start waning, and the energy won't be as strong. Well, you can see Mars has a sextile to the south node. So again, back to that, orienting ourselves on our path, getting on our path. And you've got that past life wisdom as your bridge to guide you. Yeah, and Venus is coming into that trine to Neptune even more tightly. So there you go again with your spiritual path. And the determination to stay on your path. Get on your path and stay on your path. Okay, now let's go to the sun moving into Capricorn. It happens 7:20, I think that's an 8. Yeah, 7:28 p.m. on the 21st. So Thursday the 21st. Which is unusual. Well, it's not unusual, but this is one of those things where, and I'm one of those astrologers who have never memorized when the signs change. I just know it's somewhere between the 19th and the 22nd. But I can't always say, oh, it's this, But because normally, or more often, the sun doesn't move into Capricorn until the 22nd. But this year, it's happening on the 21st. So anyway, so the aspects to the sun, of course, it's conjunct very tightly to Mercury. Mercury's moving back towards the sun, and we're going to have, Mercury had already, we did this when we had the sun in Sag, and the sun and Mars were like they were connected so tight. It's like the energy of going into the heart of the sun. I think it's called Kazemi or something like that. But anyway, we're going to have that retrograde experience with Mercury and the sun in Capricorn. So this chart is setting all of that up. Now, with the moon in Taurus, we've got this trine from Mercury and the sun to the moon, and the moon is moving towards Jupiter. So this is a lot of earthly energy, or it's a lot of the consciousness to help you manifest on earth what it is that you're wanting, and actually, really have it. We don't have the aspects to the other earth sign, which is Virgo, so there's not that, because that work has already been done. This is about really getting it in, getting it done, getting it in. Capricorn is about working hard. It's our self-responsibility. It's our control, and especially the way we can control our time, like what we spend our time on. It's all about hard work, right? If there's any trouble with the Mercury retrograde hitting the sun in Capricorn, we're dealing with maybe not feeling respected, or somebody's overlooking all the hard work that we've done, and then you feel kind of used, and then you realize, oh, that person's actually pretty narcissistic, And we might see this on the political stage, like this money grab, and grab for power with this, even though it's trines, supposed to be harmonious aspects, but it's not always. They are connections. And the connections are to money and power and control. But for us, it's really, really good for time management and getting a control on our finances, but we're going to want to spend more than we should, so we're going to have to be careful with that. So, okay. Ceres here is, or no, I'm sorry, this is Mars sextiling the south node. So again, and the reason I'm picking up on this, I spoke about it for yesterday's chart, but just to reiterate, or no, actually it was for Thursdays, but earlier in the morning, reiterate, we've got an opportunity with social opportunities and relationship opportunities, partnership opportunities that are aligned and come into more equality than ever. And with Mars, there's that, there might be, it could be very inspiring. It could be a relationship that's very inspiring, whether it's personal or partnership, any type of a contract even. But with this aspect of the architect here, coming down to Jupiter, see how Mars is connected there down to the moon, and because we're within that orb, so this is lasting for a little while. To Jupiter, Mars to Jupiter, in this aspect of the architect to the south node, all that spells out expansion, inspiration, and relationship. So, and if it doesn't have to do with relationship for you guys, this can be a bridge to a higher consciousness. The Libra glyph, you can see it looks like a little bridge. So just think in terms of that. And then with two oppositions here from the south node to Eris, and of course, the nodes are always opposite each other, but we can have some breakthroughs into being a little more courageous about relationship issues and about speaking up because of the Sag energy, but also to get into the Libra energy to relate in different ways, and especially in this could be relationships that are expansive and courageous, and if it's not relationship, it's just something where you feel more engaged. And it can bring more opportunities to, for yourself, and then you share those with others. And it can also be, bottom line, very, very good for self-reflection, and especially for understanding your deeper wounding, but also understanding your deepest gift. Because your deepest wounding is just the flip side of your deeper gift. That's all it is. You just have to learn to flip the script and turn it around. Okay, let's see, what else? I think that's it. It's just that, just know we're going to have this time in Capricorn where the sun, as each day goes by, it's moving towards Pluto. So the light is being shown on, when it comes to politics, on who's telling the truth and who's just trying to use people and use the masses for their own, selfish aims. And every day that the sun, gets closer and closer to Pluto, we're going to see more and more of that. So, there you go. Let's see. The sun is trining, the sun and Mercury are both trining Saturn. Again, Saturn rules the government. In Pisces, it can be about government officials abusing the masses. And of course, for money, because we have these aspects here, it's always all about money. And with the sun trining the moon and Jupiter, same thing. So this is kind of setting off this holiday season. And, of course, they get a month off. Congress has a month off. They don't come back till mid-January. And, yeah. Yeah, and I remember hearing Trump's lawyers didn't want to have to come back into court during the holidays for any reason whatsoever, and so that's why they were calling that's why they were calling Jack Smith the Grinch. It's like, really? You would think, if you're an attorney making $1,000 an hour, you would think you'd want all those billable hours, but no, not them. They just have to have something to bitch about. So that's the kind of stuff we can look forward to the rest of this Capricorn experience, because this chart is kind of setting things off. And Mercury's retrograding back, and it's going to be regurgitate, repeat, verbal vomiting, sometimes verbal diarrhea with these politicians. So it's okay. We just have to take it in little doses, and maybe instead of listening to it on the news, just read it in print. And then maybe it's not, you kind of know it, but you don't have to like really experience it. And then watch something fun, use your playtime to get out in nature and be with people you love and be with your pets, and positive pleasure. Let that be the name of the game. So, okay, now let's go to Friday. So Friday, the Sun and Mercury are exactly, conjunct. And again, still we have the trines coming down to the Moon and Jupiter, but the Moon's crossed over Jupiter. And, well, that's because we just went from later Thursday night to early in the morning. So you can see that things haven't changed much. So I don't really know that I need to give this chart a whole lot of work and emphasis, because I think we've already talked about that. So just know that Friday morning will be really good to work on your finances. Think of all the things that bring in a lot of pleasure and happiness. Maybe give a family member a massage if you're good at that, if you're good with your hands and you know what you're doing. Or maybe look for massage gifts that you can give to a family member. Especially someone with arthritis, things like that could be helpful. I'm thinking of the body, and I'm thinking of bliss and happiness and pleasure and expanding, healing in the body when I see the Moon and Jupiter together there. And also yummy food. Yeah, it'll be a good shopping day. Okay, Saturday. Hold on one second. Saturday, we have the Moon still in Taurus, but now it's exactly conjunct Uranus. So Saturday could be one of those days that are you wake up and it's a little electrifying, not in a bad way, but I mean, well, unless you're like me, and if the heater's up, I keep the heat down low when I sleep, but I shock myself all the time in the winter with the dryness, and because I don't like humidifiers, but yeah. I have to remember to like touch wood or touch the wall or something before I touch an electrical thing. And a lot of times I forget to do that. But anyway, that probably has nothing to do with you guys. Sorry about that. So the Moon and Uranus together bring through something exciting. So it could be something shocking, hopefully not really shocking. It could be something on the news that comes through. And it could have to do with money and the adjustments that need to be made to some of these politicians. Mercury is, still retrograde, but it's now hit 29 degrees of Sag. I think it'll go back to 22. And before the retrogradation, I can't say it. Retrogradation is done. Okay, there we got it. And so we're working. You can see how Mercury and Mars are going to come together. Right now it's like 8 degrees apart, but Mars is going this way, Mercury's going this way, so you can see which way they're heading. And the Sun is still in the nice trine to Jupiter. So again, back to the place of working hard and figuring out your finances and bringing more happiness and bliss into your life. But keeping an eye on the dirty politicians, because, they're doing stuff always. Yeah. And then Mars is in that square. Mercury and Mars are squaring Neptune. So Mercury to Neptune with politicians, and I'm saying politicians because of Sag here. Politicians and religious, not religious authorities, Yeah. If they're not coming from love, then they're not really an authority. If they're coming from judgment, if they're coming from their harshness and they're my way or the highway and this is the way, you have to go this way, well, don't. That we're in that territory right here with Mercury and Mars squaring Uranus or squaring Neptune. Neptune's that, got to control the masses, got to put people in victim behavior and make them think that they need you to get to God. It's like, no, you have a direct connection to God. You have a direct connection to any spiritual realm you want to connect with. You just have to trust yourself and set the intentions, set up the strong protective boundaries and be in your love, and then you can connect any way you want. You don't need a middleman. So Uranus and the moon there might be that breakthrough for some people that want to go deeper. With Venus now in that last decan of Scorpio, where we are mastering what we love. We're mastering rebirthing tendencies, transformational tendencies, transitions that can bring us into more harmony because we're not afraid of meeting the conflicts. And with the moon connecting to Uranus and then opposing this configuration here, opposing Venus, there's more emphasis on wanting enlightenment, wanting to wake up, wanting to be woke. And relationships, there might be relationship confrontations. There could be an argument about, wokeness today, if you want to. Or if it's a fun, little jest, then that's okay. But I wouldn't get in a big fight or argument about it. It's not worth it. And with Mercury conjunct Mars, and Mercury moving backwards, I'll warn you ahead of time that all next week will be very combative if you're not careful. So when it comes to holidays with the families, it's kind of the same guidance that I had for Thanksgiving, actually, is be careful where you spend your energy. Life's too short. If you're not going to, don't go anywhere that you think you have to. See, here we are back to questioning those false beliefs. And Jupiter ruling Taurus is about safety and bliss and happiness and self-preservation. So why would you put yourself into an atmosphere that isn't welcoming to you or your loved ones, your partners, your kids, things like that? Like if there's racist old uncle, I don't know, whomever. I don't like using names because somebody might have that same name, but drunk uncle that's also racist. Why would you bring your interracial marriage to that home or invite them into yours? Like, you wouldn't. Those people need to sit it out alone and learn their lessons, is what I think. Because it's the only way people learn, is to be isolated usually. Because we all should be kind and getting along, right? Okay, so we can see that the moon and Uranus are in conjunct Mars. So again, those adjustments away from self-righteous energy and towards bliss and happiness will be what works. And there could be, for someone out there, or for many of you out there, maybe you invent something today. Maybe it has to do with cooking, or maybe it has to do with any type of device that brings in support for the body or safety. If you just look back in the last, my goodness, I think most of you believe in science, and look at the COVID vaccine that came through. Uranus is about inventions. Taurus is about safety and preservation of the body. So just look back in history over the last few years. It's maybe more than that, actually. Uranus stays in one sign for 7 years. So, go back 7 years and see what's been invented. And drop it in the comments, because I would love to know, like, what safety, besides, well, I know the SARS vaccine was already invented, but COVID hadn't happened yet. So, yeah. Let's see, but it could be anything. It could be, it could be like additions to car seats for kids. It could be just anything that preserves safety or creates safety. Then you're in that territory of Taurus. Let's see, what other, with Mars, hopefully there's some adjustments that are made to the war in Israel. Because, Mars and Sag, we're talking religious wars. Taurus, we're talking territorial wars. Aries, we're talking territorial wars, And the Palestine people deserve to have their own place, I mean, my belief is it should be a two-state nation there in Israel, but, why they won't surrender to that. Maybe there's an ousting of Netanyahu during this time, right? We've got the squares to the dictator energy up here, right? We have a semi-square from Ceres to Pluto, so that brings through the need for action as to what orients you on your path and helps you to be in your authority, your integrity. The best way you can use Capricorn energy is to be in your integrity. Let's see. I think that's it. Yeah, we still, we have that aspect of the architect still going on, connected with Mars to the South Node, and then over to the North Node in Eris. So again, that courage. And bottom line, I think and I'll summarize by saying, I do believe that this is all about having the courage to get on your path and be on your path, and then follow that path of inspiration. And at the same time, you're questioning your false beliefs and you're healing your false beliefs, because you have to question them in order to heal them. And then you're flipping that script and turning things around into, unitive statements of truth. So if you had a false belief that, like, you're not good enough, well, you've healed that by now, I would think, or you're working on it very, very deeply. And you realize you don't have to be perfect to be good enough. And maybe you're more than enough. And maybe you can even be bad sometimes and still be loved. So that blows apart that whole theory of you got to be perfect and good all the time. And better than everyone else, which is just coming from basic, pride, either intellectual pride or some other form of pride that keeps you out of the portal into your pure spirit. So yeah, it's always about pride, and it's always a defeating vicious circle of false beliefs, and you can untangle those and flip them right around and get the energy flowing the way it's supposed to. It's like unplugging circuits and putting them in the right plugs, unplugging from here and putting it over here where it's supposed to go, right? So, okay, well, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to get this uploaded and wish you, like I said before, so much love this holiday. And I'll be back next week and we'll get the Christmas holiday going through here. Okay, bye, you guys.